Yes, fat can get you fat. Hey, what's shaking bacon? I hope you're doing well. If you like the content of this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you can, leave a comment. So the topic of today isn't designed to scare you. It really isn't. It's designed to help you. It's designed to really just help you be aware. So not everyone has this problem. In fact, most people, when they start a high-fat diet, they do really well and they start losing weight. Look at all the people that do keto and they raise up to an 80% fat intake with their diet. Most people get extraordinary results with that. But even some of these people in the carnivore world, as well as in the keto world, have limitations, and sometimes they still end up putting on some weight over the years, or maybe they just don't lose too much weight with it. Maybe their metabolism is so damaged that it just takes a little bit longer. Maybe their metabolism is so damaged beyond that, initially they put on some weight. I know I've done high fat on several occasions, but never consistently more than twice now. And when I did that, the first time I put on 23 pounds in just over 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks. Now, as a big guy, that's easy for me to do. For a 200-pound guy, that's pretty stressful on their metabolism, but I'm over 300 pounds. So to put on 23 pounds, it's relative. So don't take this as a fear tactic. I really don't want you to. Even if you put on a little bit of weight trying a high-fat carnivore diet, don't be scared by it. We'll get into that later on in the video. Back to the point of people doing a high-fat diet, when certain people are metabolically sound, I think they have a lot of metabolic flexibility with their diet. Even if they're sticking with carnivore, they can try lots of different things out there, and it's really not going to affect them too much. They're almost like a speeding train. Bugs just deflect off that speeding train. The same thing when you're doing a carnivore diet and you're in good metabolic health. Your exercise, you're in good shape, all your numbers look great when it comes to getting tests done with the doctor. Your body weight is really good. Yeah, there's a lot more flexibility. But when you've been unhealthy for decades, sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes in getting healthier, you have to take a step or two back. So the second time I've been doing this high-fat carnivore diet, I actually went up to a higher fat percentage, and I'm currently doing 90% fat. So I'm still trying to get in a moderate amount of protein in a day. If anything, it's turning out to be a little bit low. I find unless I make time for exercising or walking, I can't always eat my 5 meals in a day. So sometimes I'm stuck between 4 and 5 instead of 5 and 6 meals. So that's just my personal battle, and that's something I'm doing. I figured out how to manage that through activity and movement. Now, you might have to figure out what you need to do to eat more in a day because you want to make sure you get enough fuel for your body. And that's what I'm doing right now. The purpose of this high-fat carnivore diet is to help balance my hormones. Once those hormones get balanced, everything else will start falling into place. Well, how do I know that I'm balancing my hormones? How do you know it's not just something that's set out there? You just need to heal more. You just need to balance your hormones. Maybe you have more healing to do. What healing? Well, you got to go to your doctor to figure it out. You have to go to a healthcare professional or get some blood work done to help figure this out. One of the ways you can start is getting your blood sugar tested, your fasting blood sugar tested. Check your inflammatory markers. And I think more importantly, get your fasting insulin tested. So your fasting insulin, that's the level of your insulin when you haven't been eating for a while. Insulin is a hormone. So the last I got my blood tested about a month ago, my insulin was dramatically better than it was back in February. So it took about 3 weeks of doing a high-fat diet at 90% fat, 10% protein to make this dramatic effect in my blood work. So this is what we want to see. This is the beginning of my body healing. Carnivore got me to a certain point where I've lost 150 pounds doing zero carb and a carnivore diet. But now I'm at the point where my body is sort of saying, hey, we're adapting to this. This is your new norm. And my fasting insulin just isn't responding the way I need it to. So this high-fat version of carnivore is bringing that insulin down. Last I had it checked, I was just above the cutoff. I think in millimoles, the way it's done in Canada, it's 150 millimoles at the top where we want our insulin, and I was at 187. That's still pretty high, isn't it? But keep in mind, before that, I was at 255. That was a lot. My fasting insulin shouldn't have been that high after 2+ years on a carnivore diet, but here we are. And a lot of other people out there are dealing with the same problem where you're struggling with weight loss and you're doing everything right. Why is that? Well, probably you're fasting insulin. There could be something else going on. I also have hypothyroidism. All that seems to be in a normal range, but that's what the medical doctors test for. I'm back to seeing a naturopathic doctor I was seeing before, and I'm going to be getting some blood work done to find out the other areas of my thyroid health and what I need to do to support it to increase that quality of life, to try and get off my thyroid medication safely. As my insulin is getting better, I think my thyroid is going to start getting better and everything else will start managing itself. Now, I do notice I'm still not truly fat adapted because a lot of my stool floats still. That's something I can take some supplements to help manage in the meantime. But what I need to do is keep following through with this. But you know what? I've put on, a couple inches on my stomach, not my stomach around my belly button where I would normally put on inches, but higher up in my stomach, which is really weird. I had my cortisol tested and that seemed fine too. So we want to make sure that when we're doing this high-fat version of carnivore, we want to figure out where we were and where we are and where we're going. So you should go and get tested to make sure all these numbers are good. Your doctor may resist you on getting a fasting insulin test done. Remember, it's your body. Advocate on your behalf with your doctor to get things done to make sure you're not dealing with these problems. See, my fasting blood sugar has been great ever since I started carnivore. In fact, every other time I started carnivore and went off of it back in the day, my fasting blood sugar was always great, so they never bothered to test my insulin. So they didn't see why it should be an issue. But now I see why we need to test for this. That's going to be a whole other video one day. Okay, we're going to do some tough love right here. I hope you don't get offended by this. But if you are at this plateau and you go on a high-fat diet, and maybe you're measuring your ketones and your blood sugar and you're trying to go for a certain range, or maybe you're getting your fasting insulin tested, well, assuming you're doing everything right, and if you're not, or you're concerned you're not, reach out to someone who might have more experience with this. But assuming you're doing everything right, it can still take time. So this is where that hard, tough love's coming in. You can't be in a poor metabolic state for years or decades and then expect it to heal within a few weeks. You have to accept the fact that you have to deal with the consequences of all those actions you had that led you to the point where you had poor metabolic health, and it's going to take a while. Simple as that. It's going to take a while. My fasting insulin didn't go down as quick as my fasting blood sugar. My fasting blood sugar goes down like that whenever I go zero carb. It's been perfect for all this time, but my insulin is still kind of petrified. It doesn't know what to do. It's still hanging out in a danger zone for no reason, because I've basically conditioned my body over so many years to have high insulin, to be insulin resistant. I did that to myself. It's going to take time for that to heal, and it's going to take time for you to heal if that's what you're struggling with. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's your spouse. Maybe it's a loved one. Maybe it's someone else you might know who's trying to do everything right and they're still hitting walls. Just keep in mind, it's going to take time. Accept it. Don't try and negotiate with it. Accept it. Find out from there what you need to do to optimize your diet on a carnivore diet to help minimize the issues your insulin is causing. So doing a high-fat version of carnivore worked for me. I saw a video with Dr. Brights talking about that a long while ago, and I started implementing it, and I've had amazing results. Now, I'm part of Kelly Hogan's coaching groups, and I was doing 80-20 before, and it got me so far. But I was using butter to get into a high-fat state of carnivore, and my body just didn't agree with it. I had diarrhea all the time. I'm getting more fat now with beef trimmings and beef fat, without the side effects of the diarrhea. My stool's loose, but it's not diarrhea. Whenever I take some digestive enzymes along with this, it seems to help with the loose stool, and my body seems to be absorbing it, but I want to try and encourage my body to do it on its own instead of relying on a supplement. That's my next issue I'm going to be tackling along with what I'm doing now on a high-fat carnivore diet. So in a week or two, I'm going to get my fasting insulin tested again, and I'm going to see where it is, and if it's trending in a good direction and I get into a safety zone, eventually, when it gets low enough, I'm going to get to the point where I'll be losing weight. So this weight gain I've had on a carnivore diet is temporary. You have to keep in mind, it's not that I've been eating more fuel. It's because I've been eating more fat. I had a lot every day on a carnivore diet before. I was still getting 5,000 or 6,000 calories a day. I would average 5,000 because some days I had 4,000 calories. Some days I had 6,000 calories. And my body was still losing weight doing a carnivore diet. But I've sort of hit this balance where my metabolism sort of equaled out with my caloric intake or my fuel intake, however you want to phrase it, that I'm not losing weight. And I need to tweak this, the quality of my macros, to help speed up my metabolism a little better so that I can start losing weight again. It's just a matter of weeks. I have no doubt. Yes, you might put on weight, but look at the big picture. Try not to get too discouraged, because sometimes when you do everything right, it doesn't always go your way. Not immediately, but in the long run, you just keep consistent at it, and I think you'll do just fine. Your diet and healing isn't always a straight path to weight loss. Sometimes you end up taking a step back or two in the process. You have to accept the fact it's just part of the process. Is my body healing? Yes. How do I know it's healing? Well, it's showing in my blood work. That's how I know it's healing. It's not just words that people are saying. It's not just words I'm saying to you. It's showing in my blood work. You can check it out in my previous videos, how my fasting insulin has gone down. This is a healing process. Weight loss is a side effect of that. So I want you to take care. I want you to leave a comment if any of this relates to you, or you know anyone that's struggling with this, and maybe this video might just be what they need. I recommend seeking advice from Kelly Hogan, from Dr. Bright, as well as other people who have had to deal with this problem. You're not alone, especially if you're a woman dealing with menopause, or say you're a guy who just has a really bad metabolism like I do. It's going to take a while for this healing to take place. I appreciate you watching this video to the end. Thanks a lot and take care.